On this episode of Squatchbot, I have returned to Area X, a location where I have had some very unusual paranormal happenings in the past while conducting Sasquatch research. And while conducting night surveillance in the area, I hear something very large moving through the brush in the cover of night. And in an attempt to gather more information regarding the Sasquatch legend, I visit a local Indian museum to discuss the topic with local Native Americans. And I head back into the field to conduct night surveillance in an area where I have recently discovered juvenile Sasquatch tracks. It's all coming up next on Squatchbot.
At this point, I just want to get out of here. Hello and welcome to Squatchbot. I'm Darrin Smith, and tonight we are back out in the field, and I'm in that area that I dubbed Area X for the unusual occurrences that have been happening in this area. We have definitely had a history of unusual occurrences here, and I've returned to this location to conduct some night maneuvers because I do think that there is something very unusual happening here. However, I'm not certain that it is Sasquatch related. However, as I mentioned on previous episodes, I have done some reconnaissance using Google Earth, and I can absolutely see why this particular area would be very alluring to the Sasquatch, but not necessarily this time of year, because as I've also mentioned on numerous episodes, I believe the Sasquatch move up to much higher elevations in the warmer summer months, so I don't necessarily think that the Sasquatch are in the area. However, I did want to come back to this location. I've been monitoring it, and I am interested in doing some night maneuvers and kind of investigating the area. And I have been moving around using the EMF detector. As you recall in the previous episodes, I was getting some very unusual readings with it. While here, they were very dramatic readings that was indicating that there were electromagnetic fields in the area. And also, I was seeing movement out of the corner of my eye. And when I turned to look into that direction, I would see a blurred figure moving through the forest. I couldn't get any detail on the figure. It was just a mass that was moving through the forest. So definitely some unusual things happening here. And many of you are aware of some of the ideas that the Sasquatch may have the ability to cloak itself and to virtually disappear as it's moving through the environment. And the reason I was really focusing in this area was I was interested in seeing, capturing that movement on camera that I was seeing. And also I wanted to continue sweeping the area with this EMF detector, because I was thinking if the Sasquatch did have the ability to cloak, maybe it was using some sort of technology to do so, and that technology would be giving off some sort of electromagnetic field. So that's why I was out here spending a lot of time with the EMF detector and why I was sweeping the area. And I was getting some readings on it tonight, early evening as I was moving through the area. However, the readings were not so dramatic. They were really barely moving the needle, but the needle was moving on a couple of the settings here. So I am kind of getting to the point where I want to break out the FLIR because I can't see so far into the forest and in the surroundings around me. And I mentioned this numerous times that this particular forest, I don't know what it is about this particular location. However, this forest really does have a sense of foreboding. I get very anxious in this particular area, and it is very unsettling. And that was during the daytime, and at nighttime it's absolutely terrifying, I have to admit. And I did have some very unusual happenings when I was moving out of this area the last time. I was hearing what sounded like coyotes in the area, and I was also hearing movement of a large something moving through the forest in close proximity to me, and that was the point where I hunkered down. I stopped moving through the forest. I got down up against a tree. I broke out the FLIR, and I began scanning my environment, because at that point there was an element of urgency, and I had to get more information on what was going on in the surroundings around me. And that was one of the last visits that I had in this area. And already I'm at that point now where it's becoming quite uncomfortable not being able to see into the forest around me. So I am going to break out the FLIR and start scanning the area. Okay. I don't know if you can hear that. But I am hearing that coyote sound again. So I've mentioned this numerous times before. Though I am 100% the Sasquatch are real, I don't know exactly what they are or what they're capable of. And I have to be honest, this idea that they have the ability to cloak themselves, I find very unsettling, because it has happened numerous times when I'm out in the forest and I hear movement in close proximity to me, and then I get the FLIR out and I scan the area and there's nothing there. And it is unsettling to think that the Sasquatch is in the environment with me, but somehow able to conceal itself from myself and my technology. So this is something that really does create a lot of anxiety for me when I'm in the woods and I'm hearing things and I'm not able to see things in my surroundings. So we're definitely experiencing that now. And it does sound like there is something moving in the woods in very close proximity to me, and I can't see it using the FLIR. Okay, so using the FLIR, I can't see anything, so I've broken out the flashlight, and I've just been scanning the area. However, I still cannot see anything that could be responsible for the sounds that I am hearing in the forest near me. So it is a little unsettling that I'm hearing movement in the area, yet I'm unable to identify it. And at this point, I think I am going to start making my move back to my vehicle because I have quite a ways to go to get to my vehicle. It's going to take me a considerable amount of time to get there. So I'm going to start my trek out of here. I will stop periodically to continue to flare my surroundings and just kind of be aware of what's going on. And I have done a lot of outdoor trekking, both during the day and at night, and it usually doesn't create a lot of anxiety with me. But for some reason in this particular forest, this area that I've dubbed Area X, there's something very unsettling about it. And at this point, I just want to get out of here and get back to my vehicle.
While hearing movement in the brush near me in Area X, the Angel Eye digital video recorder malfunctioned and for a significant amount of time stopped recording video feed from the FLIR unit, only to come back online once I had moved out of the area. And also while in Area X, my YouTube video camera malfunctioned and completely powered down. The fully charged batteries were completely drained. Though not a popular belief among Sasquatch researchers, there are many who believe the Sasquatch have the ability to interrupt or disable electronic devices. I myself have witnessed or have experienced significant electronic failures during Sasquatch encounters. During my March 3rd, 2020 encounter, I experienced significant electronic failure, and following the encounter, I discovered multiple digital files were completely missing on 3 separate recording devices, a malfunction I have never experienced before. Also, during my March 3rd encounter, as I followed the Sasquatch through the woods using my parabolic microphone, I moved into the location where the Sasquatch was hiding, which was in very close proximity to the nest site I discovered on my follow-up investigations of the area. As I moved into this area, I could not see so well into the vegetation where the Sasquatch was hiding, and although I moved within 30 feet of the Sasquatch, I did not see it during the encounter. However, my video camera was able to capture footage of the Sasquatch as it hid in the brush in front of me as I moved into the area. There are a number of working theories as to how the Sasquatch could be able to render themselves invisible from human perceptions, one of which is the use of infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that can actually alter human brain patterns, create heightened states of anxiety and disorientation. This may explain why I was unable to see the Sasquatch hiding in the brush, though my camera was able to. A theory that is not so far-fetched. As I've mentioned on previous episodes, I do believe I was subjected to infrasound during my March 3rd encounter. During the encounter, as I moved towards the nest site, I was suddenly overcome by an overwhelming sense of terror. A terror that caused me to retreat from the area. I lost track of time, and while deep in the forest, my video camera captured footage of me doing what appears to be turning off my GPS unit, something I would not have done in my right mind. And based on these incidents and unexplainable equipment failures and frequency, I have to admit I find it very difficult to dismiss this phenomenon as being trivial or coincidental. This morning I am up early and headed for North Fork, California to visit the newly renovated Sierra Mono Museum and Cultural Center. The Mono Indians have lived in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains for hundreds of years. As hunters and gatherers, they lived off the land and are very familiar with the flora and fauna of the area. If anyone could point me in the right direction, it would be the local Native Americans. Though I wasn't able to film in the museum, I did enjoy the exhibit immensely, and I had the great pleasure of speaking with a couple of the curators regarding Sasquatch. And although they did not have any specific Indian accounts of Sasquatch or such local lore, they were familiar with the legend, and they offered some very interesting insights. And they pointed me in the direction of the museum gift shop, where I did discover Sasquatch. After my visit to North Fork, I was geared up and heading into the higher Sierra Nevada mountains, elevations where I believe the Sasquatch are residing during these warmer summer months. Next time on Squatchbot, I've moved my investigation to a much higher elevation along the California Sierra Nevada mountains, where I believe the Sasquatch reside during the warmer summer months, where water and food sources are readily available.
I have found some interesting impressions here.
And I head back into my encounter location from March 3rd, 2020, where I've recently discovered juvenile Sasquatch tracks, and I remain in the area well into the night to conduct night surveillance with the hopes of encountering the juvenile Sasquatch. It's all happening next time here on Squatchbot.